This novel coronavirus pandemic is feeling pretty real right now. Left unchecked, the virus will overwhelm our healthcare systems and cause a huge amount of human suffering. Our job is to physical distance and wash our hands. With these preventative measures, we will hopefully flatten the curve and avoid the worst case scenario. In March, most of the world took drastic protective measures by going into lockdown. This decimated our economies and disrupted our lives. Many of us are now wondering if these measures paid off. Are the protective measures working? Just how flat is our curve? I did a web search and came up empty. No one really seemed to be answering this question in a straightforward way. What I did find is a lot of scary numbers and maps and graphs. Maybe we're supposed to squint hard enough to find our country's curve in this mess of spaghetti and then somehow figure out whether it's flat. Now wait a minute, let's step back here. This is a straightforward question. How flat is our curve? Wouldn't it be nice if someone would just crunch the data and spit out a straightforward answer? President Trump understands the value of straightforward answers, but some of us don't always trust what our leaders have to say. What if we were to take this statement seriously, but not literally? Wouldn't it be great if some data scientists were to do their math to translate the data into a straightforward answer to this simple question, like a 5-star scale or letter grades? That's exactly what coronavirusreportcard.ca does. Every day, I report the flatness grades on an F- to A+ scale of each country's coronavirus curve. I'll explain how it works with data from Italy. Italy went into regional lockdowns pretty early on, and a national lockdown about 2 weeks into the outbreak. Many websites are showing statistics like this. The sense you get from this graph is that the lockdowns didn't work. See how many cases kept coming up during the lockdowns? But the lockdowns actually did work. We just need to look at these data the right way to see that. The first step is to plot the total number of infections that had happened so far. We are still left with the impression that the lockdowns didn't work. The number of cases just kept on climbing and climbing. The problem here is that we are looking at a linear scale. Viruses don't work on linear scales, because one person infects 2 and then the 3 infected people infect another 6 and so on. We need to think exponentially to understand the spread of the virus, where the vertical axis goes from 100 to 1,000 to 10,000 and so on. Now we can see that the curve is flattening in Italy, meaning that the lockdowns are working. To get a straightforward answer to the how flat is our curve question, all we need to do is to create a map of steepnesses to flatness grades. An F- means that the virus is spreading unchecked, whereas an A+ means that the virus is effectively contained. I calculate these every day for every country on Earth, as well as every US state and every Canadian province. Plotting flatness grades over time, we can now see that 8 days into the regional lockdowns, Italy began to climb out of the F- dungeon. When the national lockdown began, Italy had a D+, and that grade kept on climbing and climbing, and as of early April, it's an A- grade, which is a huge improvement. So flatness grades give you a straightforward answer to the how flat is our curve question. And it allows us to see which country is doing well and which is not. It is my hope that these grades will offer encouragement and hope to those who are doing their part to contain this plague, and shine the light on mismanagement, thereby giving people the information they need to demand that their leaders do their jobs effectively. I update the grades daily and tell you what will happen over the next week if we don't change our behavior. Check it out at coronavirusreportcard.ca.